I was always told I was pretty smart. I guess it must be because I got into programming at a really young age, but I don't like bragging. Anyways, I've been fascinated by technology ever since I was a kid. My parents entered me into programming competitions and hackathons after I begged and pleaded for weeks, though they weren't sure I'd be able to win any of them. Not because they didn't believe in me, but come on, most of the guys signing up for those tournaments were far older than I was. Still, I would beat the competition and amaze both my folks and those judging the events. I loved it. It was so much fun, and I learned so much. When the iPhone came out, I was amazed by it. Then the App Store was released, and that's when everything changed for me. I began realizing that people got so addicted to those silly little games and how easy it was for them to become popular. So I wondered if I could make one of my own and have people actually enjoy it. It seemed like such a fun way of challenging myself, and so I spent the following 2 months working on an app all by myself. I had my best friends try it out first, and they absolutely loved it. They'd play it for hours at a time and even ask me for advice on how to move forward faster, which I was more than glad to help them with. But as I began asking myself how to actually release it, I realized there was a major problem with my plan, and that was my age. You see, I was 12 at the time, and I couldn't publish any app under my own name, not until I turned 18. I was so bummed at first. I had put so much effort into it, and it was a great product, but no one was going to be able to enjoy it. No one except for my friends, that was, but it didn't feel like enough. I talked to my parents that night, feeling really heartbroken. I explained how hard I had worked on it and asked them, begged them actually, to let me publish it under their names. We discussed the idea for a while, and I could tell they were a bit hesitant at first, but eventually my dad gave me the same smile he offered me when he agreed to let me enter all those hackathons. "All right, son, if you want it that bad, we'll give it a try," he told me, and I knew right then and there that I'd always have my parents' support, no matter how odd my ambitions might seem to them. You have to understand, I was barely more than a teenager. And though I had always been precocious, I was still a child in their eyes. They worried about me and didn't want to expose me to the world too soon, which I understand. Still, they supported my dreams, and we published the app, thinking a few people would fancy it and that it would be a launching pad for me later on in life. Man, we never imagined what would happen next. My game became an overnight hit and almost immediately began paying off. I couldn't believe it. Money was pouring in at thousands a day. Every single hour, more and more people downloaded it. I had never felt happier before. The reviews were so positive, and my parents were gleaming with pride. The absolutely best part, though, was being able to give the money to my parents. You see, I come from a working-class family. My folks had to struggle to buy me just about anything we owned, and yet they always tried to give me the absolute best. They paid for my extracurricular lessons to encourage me always to keep learning, and I was so thankful for all their effort. I wanted to give them back a bit of everything they had done to me through my life, and that felt so rewarding. Eventually, the craziest thing happened. A big company contacted my father, who was supposed to be the game's creator. He called me into the living room that night and let me know about the offer that had been made to him. I couldn't believe it. It was more money than I even imagined ever earning, over $1 million, and I was just a 12-year-old kid. The offer did seem too good to be true, but my dad made sure it wasn't some kind of scam, so we discovered that the business was absolutely legit. Of course, we accepted immediately, and my father told me how proud he was of me, and how we'd save up most of it for my future. I'd be able to go to my college of choice and get myself an apartment when I was old enough to live on my own. Of course, I agreed with all of that, but I also wanted to help my family, and I was finally able to do it, before I even turned 13. My life absolutely changed after that, and that game truly became my launching pad to a better, more successful life. It just happened far before any of us would have imagined, and I know none of it would have been possible without my parents' unconditional support and love, so I'll always be indebted to them. Being smart is great, but nothing beats the encouragement of a loving parent. If you enjoyed my story of how I became a millionaire, don't forget to smash that like button and check out the other stories on the channel. and subscribe so you don't miss the next video.